Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us. Happy Friday. Hope you all had a great week and you're ready for the weekend as much as I am. Well, yesterday was a busy news day, and for Friday, today was quite a busy news cycle. I must say, the morning started out with Big Tish James, New York Attorney General. Well, there's a grand jury being impaneled to look into her alleged mortgage fraud and also some civil rights abuses in which she might be guilty of as it pertains to Donald Trump's civil rights. Not good for Big Tish, a woman for the last few years thought she was a tyrant, thought she was going to ruin Donald Trump's life, and almost did until he won that 2024 election. So much to talk about, so much to get to today, so I don't want to waste any time. We're going to get to our guest in just a moment, the great Rich Valdes, host of America at Night with Rich Valdes. Before we get to that, just moments ago, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is now going nuclear on the Democrats in Texas, ensuring that they return to office to get to voting. Paxton announced this afternoon that he has filed a historic lawsuit with the Texas Supreme Court to declare all 13 seats of those Marxist Democrats vacant, which means they're out of there. So we'll keep you posted on how this plays out and how this works out throughout the show if we get any new information for you on this lawsuit. But Ken Paxton showing he's playing absolutely no games down in the great state of Texas. As I mentioned, our guest today, host of America at Night, Rich Valdes.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupted this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Rich Valdes, as always, it's a delight to have you. Happy Friday. There's no other person I'd rather talk to on a Friday than you. So let's have some fun.
Yes,
a lot
sir.
of big news out today, Rich. But I think the big story, being you and I are both New Yorkers, so you're kind of a New Yorker. You're just over the bridge in Jersey. But
I'm a native New Yorker.
Yeah, I consider you a New Yorker at heart, right? Big Tish James is now under federal investigation, not just for her mortgage fraud shenanigans that she's done, that Roger Stone helped uncover, but for civil rights abuses against Donald Trump.
It doesn't come as a surprise to me. Look, we knew that everything she was doing was wrong when it was happening. I think the biggest question for me has been, does anybody really ever pay the price, right? And I think there's 2 things that happen here. One of them is you have to correct the record. Some people who were naysayers need to see that this is actually a thing. It's not just radical Republicans that believe, oh my gosh, these people were weaponizing government to go after a political opponent. It's A, right? Then there's B. Now, how do you stop them from doing it again the next time they're in power? And I think that's the part. You can embarrass them now, and that may set some people's minds free and say, oh, wow, yeah, you know what? All that stuff Trump was saying was true. And there's a lot of that. If you look at his numbers every now and again, they keep going up because more and more people are saying, you know what? This guy wasn't full of it. He was telling the truth. It was them that was full of it. However, we have to figure out the right way to have accountability. And this is the part that's very tough, because you can't just lock everybody up. And not because I don't want them to go to jail. You just can't. Right? Who's going to do the locking up? I mean, you've got probably enough FBI guys that'll do it, but you definitely don't have enough judges that'll do it. They had to go all the way to Florida to impanel this grand jury for the Epstein thing.
Yeah.
Eventually, and we still have nothing on that, right? So we're going to see where that goes. So this is the problem. We're really dealing with. It's kind of like saying, "Hey, I'm a Republican in New York, right? You're it. You're the one guy." And I think that's what happens when you're Trump. And now Trump has a better team than he had the first time around, but he's got a lot of work cut out for him yet. So we're going to see what happens with Tish James. I think she's not likable, and that's going to hurt her and help Donald Trump in getting justice, because I think people are going to say, you know what, this lady's a bully.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, Rich, is she's got two issues. So it's not just her civil rights issue with Donald Trump. It's the mortgage fraud, which now Pam Bondi has appointed Ed Martin, Eagle Ed Martin, the man who couldn't get approved as DC U.S. attorney because of one Tom Tillis. But Ed Martin is, I mean, an advocate for civil rights for people. He was one of the big voices that spoke out on January 6ers when nobody else would. So she's got two big issues. But these people, it's a bigger picture, Rich, in my opinion, because you see Adam Schiff now is under investigation for mortgage fraud as well. It's funny to me that everything they accused Donald Trump of doing, which he didn't do, they're the ones that actually did it. So it made no sense. But did these people, Rich, did they really think they were going to get away with this? Did they really think there was going to be no payback for everything they've done? And by the way, it's not real payback because they're legitimate investigations that they're looking into. It wasn't like coming after Donald Trump for allegedly raping E. Jean Carroll 55 years ago in the Bergdorf Goodman closet, or Donald Trump paying back his loan on time ahead of schedule and with interest. These are actual allegations of crimes that they committed. Did they really think they were going to get away with it?
Sadly, John, yes, I think they did. You know, when I worked in Trenton and I was in the New Jersey swamp, I can tell you that Democrats, especially swamp creatures, they really believe that you and me and the world owes them something, and that they are somehow dynastic royalty that now lives in this swamp. And you owe them. And if you don't bow down and kiss the ring, you don't get to subsist in their little fiefdom. And that's just how that works. So people like Nancy Pelosi, right? You think for a second Nancy Pelosi doesn't think she's going to get away with every single thing she's done when she says, I make $172,000 a year, but I'm really worth $413 million. I would say she'd bet her life that she's getting away with it. Guys like Jeffrey Epstein doing whatever they did, they think they're getting away with it, right? When you have an island and you have your own plane called the Lolita Express and you do all of these wild things with former presidents, with this, with that, right? You got Slick Willie Bill Clinton on his island. These people think they're untouchable and they're invincible. And this is why they've become so brazen. I think there was a time, maybe pre-Bill Clinton in the 90s, where Democrats were a little bit smoother. They played nice with Republicans. Hey, let's all get along. Now they're gone. I think they're so far gone that they think they can get away with anything. Best example is New York City. You've got a straight up socialist that's really a communist. I mean, he doesn't even talk about socialism. His ideas are rather communistic. They come straight out of the Communist Manifesto. This guy's out there bold-faced. I'm here, and he doesn't make any apologies for it. He's not embarrassed in the least. Why? Because he thinks he's invincible.
The people, though, I think really see it. And you know, the Democrats have done so much bad things, Rich. And this is the first time in my lifetime, probably yours, you're not much older than me, where we're actually seeing things that are starting to change. I mean,
oh yeah,
recently gerrymandering, right? Yesterday, Donald Trump ordered a new census because of all the illegals that have been counted in the census. These are things that Republicans, George Bush, who I guess was the last Republican president before Donald Trump, it's hard to think that it was that long ago.
Yeah.
But that they never did because they were just so dumb. And, you know, I don't really even consider myself a Republican. I consider myself America first, and whatever that means, you know, that's what I'm for. I'm for America, and that's just the way it is. Republicans and Democrats especially have strayed from that. But this is the first time where we're seeing an administration, and Rich, it's only been 6 months, just over 6 months.
Right.
This man is getting so much done. This new census that comes out that he does, they can lose 20 to 30 seats. The Democrats will never hold the House again if you lose 20 to 30 seats, plus the ones you got right now. You're looking at, 40 to 50 seats that they've lost. Do they realize the destruction that they've done to themselves?
No. I'll give you proof. They thought it was a good idea to run this woman who could barely speak in full sentences, who didn't hit her head like Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
Right? They thought replacing Biden was a good idea, to do it in the last minute without having a primary and putting in the least popular person on the planet, Kamala Harris, right? This was a horrible idea, and yet they tried to pull it off. They thought, again, in their brazen arrogance, they thought, oh, we're going to get away with this. We're going to bring in Oprah. We'll pay her $1 million. We'll do a sit down. They're going to eat it up. We'll get Megan Thee Stallion. She's terrific. All the kids like her, right? They really thought they were going to get away with everything. But no, in comes Donaldus Magnus, El Trumpito, the 45th and 47th president of these United States. He says, nope, you're fake news. And in doing that, he really sets the record straight. And I think it's remarkable because somebody needed to put an end to it, and I'm glad it's him.
Yeah. Speaking of Kamala Harris, she said, I think to Fortune magazine, that she's not running for office again because it's a rigged process. These people, some days I wonder if they're trolling us, but then I realize I don't think they're smart enough because most politicians are just total buffoons and idiots. But she says the whole process is rigged.
I love it.
Straight face, Rich. A woman who's never had to win a primary in her life, a woman who's never been on a primary ballot in her life for president of the United States. How could she say with a straight face after everything they did to Donald Trump, not just to Donald Trump, but everything they did to Joe Biden? Now,
John Fawcett, that's the proof. That's the proof that we're talking about, right? So here's a woman who did the rigging, right? She was involved in the rigging. She's the riggee. She's like, I was supposed to win. We literally took out the president of the United States. They installed me as the nominee and I lost. How could that be? This is why she thinks it's rigged, because we the people got involved.
But it's so mind-blowing to me that they can just say this stuff with a straight face. And I sit there and I fathom with myself, are they being serious or is this just like a massive troll gaslight operation to see everything we've watched Donald Trump go through down to the bullet passing his ear? And for these idiots to come out here like it's absolutely nothing. The Democrats, Rich, have nobody to blame but themselves. I want to roll a clip of James Carville, everyone's favorite Marxist radical Democrat, about what he believes the Democrats should do when they get back power. Listen closely, and then you're going to wonder why the Democrats can't win. Take a listen.
The Democrats talk about democracy, and you have these people, importance of democracy and preserving democracy and saving democracy. Well, the truth of the matter is, people are right when they say this democracy is really imperfect. And they're going to have to do, if the Democrats win the presidency, the Senate and the House in 2028, which is not impossible. I don't know if you say likely or possible. I don't know what word you know, but it's certainly not impossible. They are just going to have to unilaterally add Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia states. They're going to have to, the Congress does give, the Constitution gives Congress power over federal elections. I don't think they can redistrict, but they're things they're going to do. They're going to have to do it. They're just going to have to do it. And they may have to expand the court to 13 members. Any of those things in isolation, I would be skeptical about. I would be cautious about. I would say, well, I don't know if that's the greatest idea in the world. You're opening Pandora's box, or all kinds of things. If you want to save democracy, I think you got to do all of those things, because we just are moving further and further away from being anything close to democracy.
He said the quiet part out loud. Oh my God, I just did a Louisiana accent there by accident. Pack the courts, Rich. Add more states. I mean, this is the reason why the Democrats have lost and been killed these past few elections. I mean, what is wrong with these people?
John Fawcett, the Democrats truly believe that the government is their instrument and is subservient to them. Conservatives believe that the government is an instrumentality of we the people and that we are subservient to God, and that's it. This fundamental difference will always guide the way they move. And he's probably one of the more moderate ones. Let me tell you, he's the raging Cajun, but he's sitting there wearing a USMC hat, right? This guy appreciates the service of the troops. His friends like Zoran Mamdani and AOC All Out Crazy, you'll never see them wear an American flag or don something from any of the 5 branches of the military because they don't like this country. And to go back to what he was saying, he's talking about they're going to have to add Puerto Rico and D.C. In D.C., he's probably right, and it won't happen because it's a constitutional thing. Puerto Rico's a possibility, but I've got news for you. People really misunderstand Puerto Rico on both sides of the aisle. So you've got Republicans like my good buddy Ted Cruz and Mitch McConnell who agree on this topic, as well as AOC. They all have the same opinion when it comes to Puerto Rico. Now, interestingly, like not to become a state. If you look at the history of Puerto Rico, the last, I think, 3 governors all endorsed Donald Trump. The current sitting governor is a Republican, a Trump Republican, got elected by a plurality. There was 2 plebiscite votes to become a state, 3. In the last 15 years. All 3 votes, more than 80% of the people that voted said we would like to be a United States state. So the idea that Puerto Rico is this big blue bastion, like the next LA or something like that, it's total falsehood. It's just not real. It would benefit Republicans. I think if Puerto Rico became a state, we'd have 2 more Republican senators, and we already have a Republican governor there. So I think that would be the case. And we've consistently had a Republican in Congress, a non-voting one, because they're called the resident commissioner. But either way, that's just a little inside baseball there. But I totally believe this is how they do it. They believe in rigging things. And when the rigging doesn't work, when they say, oh, we're going to change this, we're going to change that, we're going to alter the mechanics of how this works so that we can win, we can benefit. It's not about we the people. It's not about making anything great again. It's not about winning the hearts and minds. And you just look at the way Trump moves. Fill up stadiums with people that believe what you believe. And then they go out there and they give it everything they've got. And they become digital warriors, and they're they're fighting with their neighbor. And no, you're a commie bastard, all of that. And what we've seen the last few years, but it's brought us to where we are, where you've got tariffs that are working, where you've got wars that are ending, other wars that are soon to be ending. And Trump's numbers, which being a convicted felon, getting shot, doing everything they've done to him, seem to be stable and rising whenever I look.
I'll make you a deal on the Puerto Rico thing. I'll take Puerto Rico as a state if we can get rid of California and do a trade.
I'll take that deal any day.
I will take that any day of the week, even with the corruption in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, because you'd fix it.
The thing with Puerto Rico is they understand what corruption is, because it was a very corrupted place. I think it's getting a little bit better now, but you saw during hurricanes, water being withheld, supplies being withheld because they were sent by Donald Trump. Not that it makes a difference. Donald Trump doesn't have to worry about getting a vote from anybody in Puerto Rico. It's not going to change an election one way or another for him. But they were playing politics to make it like Donald Trump's this big racist. Don't help the Puerto Ricans. Let them go. I'd rather help Puerto Rico than California. And I'm sorry to the people in California who are tuned in. They probably agree with me on this.
The ones that care move to Idaho.
Or Texas or Arizona. I mean, it's just such a corrupted place. In my opinion, it's the most beautiful state in this country. When you go on the coastline from anywhere from up north to San Francisco, not San Francisco per se, but on the water down to San Diego, it is the most beautiful state in this country. It is such a shame what these people have done to it. And it's because of people like Nancy Pelosi. We're going to roll a clip right now. Nancy Pelosi, who's looks like she's not doing very well, should probably check herself into some sort of drug rehab or alcohol, whatever she's on. I'm not sure what it is. I don't ever want any of it. Nancy Pelosi says that trans kids are going to be saved because of her. I don't know if she was drunk or not, but let's take a listen.
How is your office responding to the pauses in gender affirming care here in California?
Well, that is something that I'm working for at the national level, and we have, are hoping that we can have gender affirming care for our trans kids, and that it's a sad thing for us. I'm not totally. I don't know what effect we can have nationally with what we have going on in the White House and in the Congress. It's really very sad. If you were there, outside our door, we have a trans flag. Outside of our door in the office, congressional office building, we have the trans flag, as do some of our other colleagues. But that view is not necessarily.
Sorry for everyone who had to understand or try to decipher the code language she was speaking in, but it's scary to think the two words in one sentence, gender affirming care for children. Scary, scary, scary stuff. But this is what this is the hill the Democrats are willing to die on.
Yeah, well, look,
it's crazy.
It's crazy to me too. And, I sit there and I watch this and I think Nancy Pelosi is so incredibly obvious in how disingenuous she is. She could care less about this stuff. This isn't something that was an issue for her. This is something that someone brought to her attention and said, look, you got to talk about this because, we're in California. And if you don't do that, they're going to get upset. And you can tell she knows nothing about the issue. And she's like, we need the gender affirming for our trans kids. I mean, she's all over the place on this. I feel bad. I mean, she looks good for her age, but I think she's up there. And she should probably start phasing out her career. I'm glad she stepped down as speaker. Not that, as Minority Leader Jeffries is doing any better, but I think she's seen her best days.
Yeah, I think her best days are far behind her.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Let's talk a little bit about some numbers that we've got out from the Heritage Foundation, Steve Moore, which he presented to President Trump yesterday. Americans gained 10 times more income under Donald Trump than Joe Biden. And let's remember, this is just over 200 days in, Rich. Moore got 4,000 more under Trump. And there's so much more to come from President Trump and this administration. I mean, in 200 days, this man was able to manage to do just the unthinkable things, ending wars. He was with the president of Azerbaijan this week. A war is ending over there. I think he's probably pretty close to a Russia-Ukraine ceasefire / end of the war. He's supposed to be meeting with Vladimir Putin and possibly Zelensky in the coming weeks. I mean, there's so much that this man has done on the world stage, stuff that we shouldn't even have to worry about, that he's doing, that Joe Biden couldn't do in 4 years.
Well, listen, Donald Trump is trying to do the right thing. I mean, he works every day. Joe Biden wasn't working. He didn't try to do anything. I often vacillate between, did Joe Biden want to break things, or did he just not pay attention and things broke? and I think, it's a little bit of both. I'm convinced that he and his people oversaw the biggest human smuggling operation in American history. It was overseen by the government, sponsored by the United States government. And it was just crazy to see what happened at that border. You can't call that ineptitude. You can't call it anything but criminality, in my opinion. And then there was days where I was like, this guy looks like he can't put on his shoe. And it's, and it's funny, but it's not. It's sad that we went through that. The whole auto pen thing, it's wild. And nobody will be held to account for this. He was president. He's gone. He signed his pardons. I'm glad President Trump puts it on the forefront. I'm glad he brings the attention to it. But at the end of the day, these strikes, these black eyes on our country, they're going to take a while to heal. And thank God that you got somebody like President Trump that's full speed ahead, making sure he's actually trying to get things done. And thank God, again, he's a maniac, right? Donald Trump doesn't sleep. He's deal after deal after deal after deal. You've got to love that type of work ethic. And we need it at a time like this.
Speaking of his work ethic, you mentioned the human smuggling operation. The New York Times is reporting today that President Trump secretly signed a directive ordering the Pentagon to start using military force against certain Latin American drug cartels. The order provides an official basis for possibility of direct military operation at the sea and on foreign soil against cartels. This means that U.S. troops can find themselves in countries like Mexico, battling the Sinaloa Cartel, for example. This is something that I think is absolutely integral to stopping these drug cartels. I don't know if you remember in the first administration, I think it was Mark Esper who wrote a book, and he'd said President Trump was considering sending bombs into these drug facilities, and he said it thinking he was going to hurt President Trump. People started listening, and I sat myself there and I said, why the hell didn't he do it? That's absolutely brilliant. Blow these guys up, kill every single one of them. They're not human beings, right? They're not human beings like you and I. These are people who are putting drugs on the streets to kill people. Blow up their factories, blow up their supply, and kill every single one of them. It's a war that we can win, Rich.
You see, now look, John Fawcett, this is how this thing works from what I've seen. You don't get into wars that you can win when you're in Washington. You get into wars that have to be prolonged so that everybody can keep, getting money. Mm-hmm. That's number one. So Trump is a very smart guy, and he looks at this and he says, this is an act of terrorism, right? This is what China calls unrestricted warfare. They will try and get you every way. They'll try and turn your citizens gay. They'll try and infect you with a different, really, they will they'll import a different religion into your country to set the balance off. I mean, the type of thing they do, the whole trans movement was a big Chinese move with the TikTok thing. And I read that I think I read it in the New York Times, of all places. So you look at all that stuff and you say, wow, this is a whole lot of stuff. So Trump is right on target saying, and he's been saying it shouldn't come as a surprise to a lot of people. I think since the first administration, and that was how he got them to sign the USMCA and to do the Remain in Mexico deal. He said, well, or we could label you narco-terrorists, and then we could use the military. You could deal with the Navy SEALs, or you could deal with Border Patrol. What do you want to do? And they opted to help out, and they held people in Mexico, and Remain in Mexico policy became a thing. I think now Trump is realizing there's a political part of this game, and there's a real strategic part of this game. And I think he's always known it, but he realizes the timeline now. There's truly a finish line of getting things done well before the midterm election so that you can say, I've done this, and this, and we deserve to win again. And I think the American people are gonna support that, whether they're MAGA or not, because they're realizing this guy's not so bad. I mean, he's talking about boys playing in boys sports, girls playing in girls sports, not having drugs, having money in your pocket, and putting bad guys in jail. I think a lot of people like that idea.
Think about his policies, Rich. I don't understand how anyone could be against them. You mentioned a few of them. Keeping drugs off of our streets. Over 100,000 people die of drug overdoses each year. Keeping men out of women's sports. Seems like a pretty just logical idea. How about securing our southern border from aliens invading our country? How about making English the language of America? How about getting America out of endless wars over in the Middle East? Oh, how about cutting taxes for the middle class? Oh my God, I got another one. How about we bring manufacturing back to America? How about we stop relying on every other country for everything that we need in this country, so that if another COVID-19 happens, we don't get locked out of pharmaceuticals. We don't get locked out of PPE. All logical things, Rich. But these people somehow with a straight face can sit out there and say, nah, I'm against that. I'm against investments in America. I don't give a shit about the American people. I don't give a shit about the blue-collar workers in Detroit, the auto manufacturer. I don't care about any of them.
When you don't care about America, you don't care about America. And the radical left, sadly, doesn't care about America. They hate the fundamental principles. If you look at someone like AOC, she would be so happy, this Mamdani, so many, Elizabeth Warren. Sadly, it seems like Jasmine Crockett is joining their little group of being a real radical Marxist. And you look at this and you think, my goodness, these people would really want this government to own everything and to be in charge of everything because they're a part of the government. So they feel like they're part of the bourgeoisie. And, we're the stupid proletariat. It's insane to see what's happening. But the reality is what Trump has on his side, really what America has on its side, is we the people. Most people don't want that garbage. They don't want it. So they're like, you know what? I just want to work and do my thing and do whatever my thing is. And I think that's a good thing. And that's the reason this populist movement is alive and well with MAGA, because people who don't like Trump are looking the other way saying, look, I don't like Trump, but I like what he's doing. Then you have the people that say, look, I don't like Trump and I like what he's doing, but I just don't like Trump. So therefore, I'm going to sit on my hands and watch the country crumble, which to me puts them in the same boat as AOC. They hate America.
You keep mentioning Mamdani, so let's talk about him for a little bit. I mean, it's more than apparent to me. I hope I'm wrong, but just speaking about it as a realist, that Mamdani is going to be the next mayor of New York City. It's going to be very hard.
I disagree. Listen,
I hope I'm wrong. I
hope so too. Listen, yesterday there was or someday this week, whatever day that was, a couple of days ago, the fundraising numbers came out. Number one fundraiser, $1.9 million for the quarter, Curtis Sliwa. Number two, Mamdani. The other two didn't even register for any matching funds. So it shows me that people are putting their money where their mouth is. If people are going to put their money behind Curtis Sliwa, I'm pretty sure they're going to put their votes there. To me, it becomes a very binary choice. It's a very simple thing to look at. When you're in New York, right, and you were around for this, and even if you weren't there when it happened, you've seen what it looks like every year on 9/11. The amount of emotion, the stories that people will tell you of what New York City was like the day after 9/11, the night of 9/11. I remember this stuff like yesterday. And I can tell you this, John Fawcett, that stuff runs in our veins. And when you have a guy that's running, this Zoran Mamdani, he says, I'm going to activate 1 million Muslims in New York City to help me get elected. I can tell you that that's going to hit a nerve. that is going to hit a nerve and it's going to hurt some people the same way. And this is not a xenophobic thing I'm saying. I'm talking about reality. When this woman, what is her name, from Minnesota, Ilhan Omar. When Ilhan Omar said, some people did something, remember that?
Yes.
That caused such a stir. People's feelings were very hurt. There were fights in the streets. Because why? Because you can't play with New York City when it comes to this 9/11 thing. This guy is teetering. I like the whatever five. I like Hamas. I like radical Islamism. When you get crazy like that, New Yorkers are going to turn on you. It doesn't matter what color they are, because it's a dangerous proposition for the city, and we're not outnumbered. This isn't Washington D.C. where the left is ruling the roost. New York City has a lot of common sense people that are pretty tough-minded. So I think when it comes down to really pulling the trigger, they're going to pull the trigger for Curtis Sliwa. However, you got to get them to the polls, and you got to continue to show them how how dangerous this guy can be. And last point on that, I was talking to Trump's pollster about Mamdani, and he gave me a number. He said, McLaughlin. He said 59% is the number. When Mamdani's unfavorable hits 59%, it's almost a guaranteed win for Curtis. Because that's when the voting populace will have realized the damage that he could do should he be elected. So I think Curtis has two problems on his hand, right? Two challenges, I should say. The first one is to say, Curtis is a man of the people. He talks with his hands. He sounds like a New Yorker. He looks like one. So does Cuomo. And this is where I think he's got to show differentiation with Cuomo. And then the other part is he's got to show all the negatives on Mamdani. Can he do that plus continue to raise money? I think he's in the fight. So it's definitely not out. And the last part of it is Errol Lewis. And you know Errol Lewis from New York One.
I know Errol personally, unfortunately.
Yeah. Listen, maybe not a bad guy, but his analysis isn't always great. And he's definitely not, I wouldn't say he's a nonpartisan guy. No. I saw him 3 or 4 days ago saying, with a sad face, it looks like Curtis Sliwa really has a shot at winning this thing. And it's because he's seeing, when you look at Curtis's 25, 23, 24, let's say 25%, right? Because within the margin of error, puts him at a very big advantage versus the other ones. Mamdani, I believe, is going to dwindle, and he's already plateauing. Curtis is still rising in each poll that comes out. You've got Adams. Adams is nearly like dead. Like you've got to check for breath with a mirror when you look at these polls. So he's out. So it's really a 3-man race, I'm thinking. But you need Adams to stay in it just for the dead weight of maybe holding on to some of the African-American vote that, again, doesn't hurt Curtis.
No, by the way, Rich, I don't know if you saw the numbers. The African-Americans, the Hispanic Americans are the smart ones in this. I mean, they're absolutely brilliant. They did not vote for Mamdani. They voted for other Democrats. They voted for Cuomo and Adams, but they did not vote for Mamdani. The people who voted for Mamdani are whites and Asians. Those are the people.
College-educated ones, too.
Right. I mean, but college-educated, hard to believe. I don't know what they honestly think they're going to get out of this guy. They're idiots. And a lot of them went to Ivy League schools, top of the top schools. The way that I've seen it over the last few years, usually the better the school you go to, the dumber you are. Yeah. My father, who's, the smartest person I know, graduated, you know my father, from St. John's. Decent school, not a great school, lived the American dream, rose up to become the chief financial officer of one of the largest banks in this country. You've got guys who are coming out of Harvard, Rich, who are absolutely just brain dead idiots. I was in Boston last week, and I'm sitting at a cafe with a Harvard professor. I won't say their name. And all I see walking by, blue-haired people, pink-haired people. And I'm like, what are these freaks doing? These are the people who these colleges and institutions take. But these people buy this nonsense that Mamdani is selling. What they don't realize, Rich, is that when he wins, if he wins, like I said, I hope he doesn't. But if he does, Bank of America, who's headquartered in New York. I mean, I can go down the list of the companies.
They're all leaving.
They are gone. Bank of America started to build their Miami headquarters as soon as COVID happened because they saw the writing on the wall. JP Morgan just built a massive building there. Jamie Dimon, that idiot, he's probably stuck there, so I don't care the hell with him. But all these companies that can just pack up, these startups can pack up their stuff and go down to Miami, Florida. They can go down there. They can get the tax benefits. They can get plenty of different benefits that you don't get here in New York, like walking down the street and perhaps not getting shot. They're going to pack up. I was reading this morning, the millionaires and billionaires are already listing their condos and their houses for sale. I mean,
Mhm.
through the roof in New York City. Who do they think New York relies on to pay these big tax bills and to fund these expensive restaurants? It's not you and I, Rich. It's the guys who are making millions of dollars a year who are going to take their stuff and get the hell out.
Well, and they have to, right? If you have an investment in the city right now and you're not trying to leave now with the prospect of a Mamdani telling you what he's going to try and do, you're only going to lose. I mean, it's like an insider trading. He's telling you, hey, your condo on the Upper West Side is going to go down by 30% the day I get elected. Sell now. So people are trying to, hedge their bets. I believe that in real life, these banks have money. All of these big firms have money. They want to be in New York. They like the Democrats. They think that something's owed to them, and they would like a nice, safe, clean city that's owed to them. So they're hoping to have a friend and an ally in City Hall. Perhaps they'll work with Adams. Perhaps they'll work with Cuomo. I think Curtis would definitely work with those people. He's been cleaning up the streets in law and order since day one. So I think he's a logical choice for them. But either way, I'll tell you the person they know that is not going to work with them. That's Mamdani. He's not going to work for them. And I remember years ago, right after 9/11, Bloomberg saying, a reporter asked him a question. They said, what do you think about Goldman Sachs threatening to leave the city over this? And he said, you know it and I know it. Goldman's not leaving the city. The tallest building in New Jersey, in Jersey City, New Jersey, the Goldman Sachs Tower. They built it the following year. It took like 3 or 4 years to build, and that's where they are. So yeah, Goldman left the city. They're in the city, but now they have a whole headquarters right across the street in Jersey City. And more and more are going to do that. Like you said, they'll go to Miami, they'll go to New York. People aren't going to stay where they're not welcome. And Zoran Mamdani, he's making it unwelcome.
Yeah, there's no reason to be with technology now, Rich. There's no reason to be in New York. Back in the day, you used to have to travel to go get on a plane to go meet somebody. Now you and I like this, Rich. You do a video chat, and I mean, some people don't like it as much, but it's way more cost effective. It's way more efficient. It's just a way easier world. Nobody needs to be in New York anymore. It sucks that this is what they're going to do to our city. I mean, Mamdani's not going to change my life here in New York. I can pack up and go do the show down in Florida or Texas or Arizona happily. So he's not going to change my life, but it's just sad to see that the city that I grew up in, the city that, the people I know built, that my good friends serve and protect in the NYPD each and every day, is going to be ruined by this guy because people are just so damn stupid. Before we wrap, I want to get your take. Howard Stern, a New York radio icon, leaving Sirius XM. I think this he saw the writing on the wall a few years ago. President Trump said it was because he endorsed Hillary Clinton. I think it was a long time coming for him.
I think Howard Stern, and God bless him for it, makes $100 million a year from Sirius XM. And I think Sirius XM realized he's terrific, but we can't justify the $100 million anymore. And deals like that are great while you can justify them. Spotify did $150 million with Rogan. Great. He pulled in those numbers. They did that deal. Stern did the deal, but I think there's more options now. Stern had an amazing heyday. He's a legend, irrespective of any of that stuff, whether you like him or not. You say Howard Stern, people know who he is. And that's it. I think, he earned his keep for as long as he could. I don't think he could bring in the numbers to do that anymore. It's time for someone else to take over.
I say good riddance to him, and I'm going to write a letter to Sirius XM and let them know Rich Valdes and John Fawcett will negotiate for half the price.
Deal.
We'll be happy with it. Rich, before we wrap up, I've got to give you some credit. This was sent in to me. Rich Valdes, who is the host of America at Night, nationally syndicated in 250 markets by Westwood One Radio Network, by the way, one of the biggest in this country.
Top three.
Has surged 45 places in Talkers Magazine's top 2025's top 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. Congratulations, Rich. Well deserved.
Thanks,
I mean, you do a terrific show, more than deserved. You're one of the guys, Rich. I respect you more than I respect most people because you, like me, started at the bottom and grinded your way up. There's a lot of people in this industry who just come in and they take a seat because they got a pretty face. But you and I know what it's like.
I don't have a pretty face.
You're on radio. You and I know what it's like, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but you and I know what it's like to grind and to put on a show and to get a show on air where most people really don't.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, it is a tough game, and I can tell you, especially with you in the digital space now. Terrestrial radio's tough, TV's tough. I think the digital space is probably the toughest because everybody can get in. There's no barrier to entry, right? You don't have to be signed. You don't need a contract. You're in, and the numbers speak for themselves. So it's incredibly competitive. It's the wild, wild west. And you're right. I take my hat to anybody who does a good job in this business because it's not an easy one. So congrats to you too, my friend.
As always, brother. I appreciate you joining us on this beautiful day in America, Rich. Come back soon. What's up for the show tonight? What time? Who's on? And what can they expect for your show tonight?
Sure. I've got the great one, Mark Levin, joining me on the show tonight. We've got Congressman Byron Donalds also. We're going to talk about all the latest that's going on, moving grand juries to Florida. What's the latest with this push for radical Islamism in the U.S. and so much more. I'm on 9 to midnight in the New York area. That's 6 to 9 p.m. on the West Coast. In Hawaii, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it depends. Check your local listings. Go to my website, Rich Valdes, and that's Valdes with an S.com.
We'll see how many bourbons I drink with my buddies tonight. Maybe we'll call in and make some prank calls to the radio station.
I love that.
And get Rich in trouble. You heard the man, folks. Rich Valdes with an S.com. America at Night with Rich Valdes. You can catch him each and every night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Rich, as always, a delight to talk to you, brother.
Right here. Same here, brother. God bless.
Thanks to Rich Valdes, and thank you all for being with us today here on the Great America Show. Happy Friday. I hope you all have a wonderful and a blessed and a safe weekend. You make it back here Monday for the Great America Show because we'll be here waiting for you. Same time, same place. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you here on Monday.